Do you struggle with staying disciplined even though you really want to? I spent several years failing at it and I thought I'd never get it right. But here's the thing, I was thinking about it all wrong. Hello there, name's Leo. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it takes to make discipline work for you. No fluff, just real actionable tips starting right now. Here's a game-changing tip that prevents me from putting off tasks when they seem too big and intimidating. The 5-minute rule. How often have you found yourself putting off tasks thinking they're too intimidating? The thing is, the hardest part of staying disciplined is just starting. I personally fell into this cognitive trap more times than I can count. I did to script my next video or study in the evening, but the task felt so overwhelming that I'd unconsciously started looking for easy alternatives. Sometimes less important tasks that were just simpler to do, or sometimes I just scroll mindlessly thinking, forget it, I won't even try and start. But here's where the 5-minute rule completely changed the game for me. This rule is all about commitment. Commit to working on a task for just 5 minutes. That's it. You don't have to finish the entire task. Just start. It sounds simple, but it's so powerful. Once you begin, you'll be amazed at how much easier it is to keep going. Take writing a script for my video, for instance. At first, the task seemed impossible. I kept telling myself I don't have the energy for this. But once I told myself I'm just gonna do 5 minutes, and if it doesn't get any better, I'm gonna stop. I sat down, opened Notion, and before I knew it, I was on a roll, and that 5-minute task turned into an hour of productive work. But here's the key thing, don't lie to yourself. If after 5 minutes you still feel like the task is impossible or it's just not clicking, then stop. It's okay, no shame in that. If you lie to yourself, next time you won't believe that it can take only 5 minutes and this rule won't work. Additionally, sometimes starting the task in a less than ideal way can actually work wonders. For example, when I'm writing a script, I don't always jump straight into the silence or focus mode. Sometimes I start by listening to background music. It's not the most effective, but it makes the process more enjoyable and it gets me started. You see, the more comfortable and pleasant the start is, the easier it is to overcome that initial resistance. You don't have to go all in on the hardest, most uncomfortable approach right from the beginning. If background music helps you start writing, go for it. The goal is to start, and once you have started, you can always switch to a more focused environment if you feel like it. That's why the 5-minute rule is so powerful. It lowers the stakes, it gives you permission to ease into the task, and it's that simple shift that can make all the difference. So next time you're faced with a task that seems too big, try starting with something small. If it doesn't feel right after those 5 minutes, stop and walk away. But 99% of the time, once you start, you'll feel like continuing. And before we dive into this next tip, if you're finding this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to join our community of life architects. Now let's talk about something of no less importance. Discipline isn't about willpower alone. It's about creating systems and habits that make doing the hard things automatic. Think about it. Willpower is like a battery. It's strong when you start the day, but by the end of it, you're drained. Systems, on the other hand, don't depend on your energy or motivation. They just work. That's why building habits is so key to lasting discipline. For example, I don't rely on sheer willpower to wake up early and work on my goals. I've created systems like going to bed earlier, setting up my laptop the night before, or using time blocking to structure my day. It's not only about fighting yourself every day, it's about putting systems in place that support your goals. This might mean setting up reminders on your phone to stay on track, automating your finances so you never miss an investment, or scheduling regular breaks without your workday to prevent burnout. Now, a lot of people overlook this, but managing your energy is just as important as managing your time. I used to think the key to discipline was pushing through every task even when I was exhausted. That's not sustainable. If you don't manage your energy, you'll burn out, and that's where the real trouble starts. So it's about knowing when to push yourself and when to rest. Don't feel guilty for taking breaks. In fact, breaks are essential to staying productive. I make sure to rest, get proper nutrition, and take care of my body because that's how I keep my energy up for the long haul. Now, after hearing this, think about one system you can start building today. It could be a morning routine, time blocking method for your day, or even something simple like planning your meals ahead of time. When you start building these systems, you'll be amazed at how much easier it becomes to stay disciplined. Now let's talk about something that often trips people up. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. You see, I used to think discipline meant never missing a task, always sticking to my schedule and getting everything done without fail. But that kind of thinking only leads to frustration. The truth is, it's okay to fail and make mistakes. There have been countless times when I didn't stick to my plan. Maybe I missed a workout or didn't finish a task on time. You know what? In the past, I would beat myself up over it. I'd tell myself, I'm not disciplined enough. Or even, I've ruined everything now. But that mindset doesn't help. What matters is not letting those setbacks derail you. Discipline is about getting back on track and showing yourself self-compassion even when things don't go perfectly. If you fall off track, don't think you're a failure. I've learned that every mistake is an opportunity to learn and refocus. It's about being kind to yourself and not letting guilt get in the way of progress. Next time you miss a step, take a moment, breathe, and ask yourself, what's the next thing to get back on track? Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about consistency and resilience, alright? And that actually leads us to the last but definitely not least part. Why having a clear why is key. If you're gonna stay disciplined, you need to understand why you want to build discipline in the first place. When things get tough or when you're feeling unmotivated, your why is the fuel that drives you forward. There were days when I felt drained or overwhelmed and I just wanted to give up. But I always came back to my why. For me, it was about building a life where I could work on my own terms and have the freedom to pursue what really mattered to me. That made all the difference. When I kept the bigger picture in mind, it made it easier to push through those tough days. It reminded me why I was doing what I was doing, even when I didn't feel like it. Having a strong why is absolutely crucial when it comes to discipline, because without it, you risk wandering through life without direction. If you don't decide where you're going, you'll end up wherever you're heading. And more often than not, that's not a place of purpose or fulfillment. For me, my why is all about living a life where focus and balance meet. A life where I can wake up each day with a clear purpose and inner desire to be great. But here's the thing, I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm not striving for discipline only because I want to impress people or meet external expectations. No, I'm doing this to prove something to myself. I want to prove that I'm enough, that I'm strong, capable, and resilient, and that I can cope with anything that comes my way. For me, discipline is the foundation that allows me to create a life of structure, one step at a time, consistently improving myself. It's not about achieving perfection. It's about creating a sustainable rhythm that keeps me on the path towards my goals. No matter how difficult or overwhelming they might seem, along the way, I want to provide value to others, help them in their journey, and ultimately contribute to making the world a better place. It's this deep sense of purpose that drives me forward each day. I'm striving not just for self-improvement, but for something bigger, for realizing my potential, and beyond that, pushing myself to achieve even more than I ever thought possible. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and focus on the big wins, but the true fulfillment doesn't come from the destination alone. It comes from the journey, the small, deliberate actions that align with your values and your why. Discipline becomes the bridge that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. And as you build the habits and systems that support this journey, you'll realize that your true power lies not in the results, but in the constant effort to grow, improve, and push your limits. So if you've been feeling lost or stuck, if you've been struggling to find the discipline to achieve what you know you're capable of, take a moment and think about why you want to improve in the first place. If your why is strong enough, discipline will become your ally in the pursuit of your dreams. And speaking of building a life with purpose and intention, if you want to learn more about how simplifying your life and focusing on what truly matters can bring more clarity and freedom, check out my video on why I own almost nothing. It's all about how shedding excess can lead to more focus, more energy, and a clearer path towards your goals. I truly hope this video was helpful, and definitely have a good day.